Okay. I put your grades in. For some reason, on some of the people's transformation activity, it was giving them an 8 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10. So I fixed those for you that finished on time. So those are fixed now. The other class beat you. Someone in the other class got 21.8 seconds for that time. So
You're cheating.
no, they did it during class. Okay. But let's go ahead and talk about a couple things, and let's kind of review what we went over last week, because we're going over the last section today already. All right. And if you look at the board, we're going to have a small quiz, and then we're going to review and have our chapter 3 tests next week. Okay. I think it is next class.
Oh no.
We don't have this class tomorrow, okay, but we have this class on Wednesday, so you're going to have a small quiz. Then we're going to review together, and then our test will be next week, okay? So the test is next week. I will tell you what day on Wednesday. I haven't decided yet. I think it's going to be Tuesday, because it shouldn't take you long at all. I don't think it will take, you don't need any minutes, okay? Okay, when we have translations, let's go ahead and listen. What happens when we have translations? Yeah. Well, thank you. It moves. Well, yes, we know it moves, but what directions does it move? All right, hey, Adam, Julian, let's cut out. What did I just ask? Well, yeah, because that's on the board, but that's not what I just asked, okay? You guys need to listen, all right? So with translations, okay, they are moving up and down, and what axis is on that? The y-axis, okay? And then it moves right and left, and what axis is that? Okay? And that's all that's happening with those translations, okay? So you don't need to know anything, you just need to know it moves up and down, or if it moves right and left, and that whole figure moves, okay? Reflections. All right, that's what we learned next. Okay, reflections. We went over, there's 4 different reflections that we learned. What was one of them? Over the x-axis, and what happens to x and y? Y changes, so whatever value y is, it's the opposite of y. Okay, all right, what about the y-axis? Yeah, the x changes and y stays the same. Okay, that's all that happens when it crosses those axes. Okay, what were the other 2 that we learned for reflections? Yeah. Yeah, y equals x and y equals negative x. What happened to the x and y for y equals x?
They flip-flopped.
Yeah, they flip-flopped. Okay, so then it's just whatever value for your y, that becomes your first coordinate now, and then your x is your second coordinate. All right, and then what happened when we have y equals negative x? Yep, you flip them. All right, and they both, you do the opposite sign. Okay, perfect. So that would be, that's what we learned for reflections, okay? What about rotations? What were we learned like 3 different rotations, and let's talk about the counterclockwise ones. Okay, so we learned 90 degrees counterclockwise. All right, who can tell me what we do for that? Yeah. Y negative x. Is that the 90 degrees counter? Yeah. Should be negative y x is 90 degrees counterclockwise. What happened for 180 degrees counterclockwise? Just the signs change. So we have negative x, negative y. What about 270 degrees counterclockwise? So we have y negative x, okay? All right, so then if these are all counterclockwise, okay, then what could I say about 270 degrees clockwise? What would that be the same as? Yeah, that would be the same as 90 counterclockwise. Okay, perfect. What was the very last one that we learned? Dilations. And what happened there? Yeah, pretty much. So it's like scale factor, okay? So either the shape or the point, well, pretty much the shape either gets smaller or gets larger, okay? And that's what was happening with those dilations, okay? So these are the main ones you need to know for today. You don't really need to know dilations. You just need to mainly know translations, reflections, and rotations. So I'd make sure that you have, you have like all of these down, okay? Because you will really need to know them today, okay? Because these are going to be the main ones that we are focusing on today. Because what we're going to be doing is, let me go to it. All right, we're going to be mixing them together, okay? So we're going to have questions that are going to look somewhat like this, okay? We have to determine the transformations, all right? And we have to pick which two options happens. So I'm going to zoom in on this first one if I can. There we go, finally. Okay, so this one, so it's going to look something like this, okay? So this one, it says we need to determine a series of transformations that would map figure D onto figure E, okay? And then if you look at below, okay, there's translation, there's reflection, there's rotation, okay? It just gives you all the options that happen below, all right? And we have to figure out which two, we pick two transformations, all right, we'll get our figure D onto figure E, okay? So here's the biggest advice that I would figure out, okay? Pick one point. So I'm going to pick this point right here, okay? All right, and I need to figure out what point is the same on figure E, okay? And that's going to be this one right here, right? So the first thing I'm going to figure out is what what are those coordinates? Okay, so for my figure D, okay, because I have to go from figure D to E, that is going to be 1, 5. All right, and then my figure E, this one is negative 1, 10. Okay, so I have to do two transformations in order to get from this point, okay, to this point. All right, anyone have an idea of maybe what we can start with? Yeah, let's reflect over the y-axis, okay? So I'm going to stick with these coordinates that I have right here. So I have 1, 5. And when I reflect over the y-axis, okay, what changes? My x changes. So what will my new coordinates be? Yeah, when I reflect over the y-axis, okay, all that changes is my x, okay? So we're going to get the new coordinates of negative 1, 5, okay? And that's this point right here. Okay, and then how do I go up? What do I do here in order to get to negative 110? Well, like what transformation is it? We're going up, so what is that? Translation up how many units? 5. And if we go up 5, okay, then we will get negative 110. So when we have down below, okay, we would have to select a translation up 5 units, okay, and then a reflection over the y-axis. And I'd have to circle that, okay? Somewhat. Okay, let's look at this one. This says determine transformations that would map B onto C. Okay. Now, sometimes you're going to have to do trial and error, okay, because it's not always going to be what you think it is. All right. I'm going to choose this point right here, okay, and that's going to be the same as this point right here. Okay, so I want you to try this one on your own. All right, for my figure B, all right, this point is 3, -2, okay, and my figure C point, this one is -2, 3. I guess you can just do that. Or no, you can't. No, because what happens with the rotation? You have to do 2. All right, if you look at this, maybe you might just think, ooh, I could do 180 clockwise. All right, rotation. All right, but that's not possible. Those coordinates would not be the same. So do some trial and error, okay? But see if you can figure out, all right? We have to go from 3, -2 to -2, 3. So if you look at this, maybe your x and y need to change at some point, okay? So maybe look at something to get that x and y to change.
What's the one where x is like diagonal? Isn't there going to be a reflection?
That's what you got to figure out.
Wait, so if you do 180, it would be -3, +2, and then you go left, left 1, and then.
No, you can only do 2. You can only do 2 transformations.
What's the thing where it goes across diagonally?
These will not have reflections over the y equals x or y equals -x. It will not have those.
Is it 90 over 90 clockwise?
We'll talk. We'll figure it out. Were one of you raising your hand? Okay, my bad. Yeah. I know we wrote those, but those will not be on these. I just said we aren't doing those reflections. We can only the only options we have are reflection over x or y axis. That could work, maybe, if that's right. I said you have to do 2. For all of these, you have to do 2 transformations.
So like translation about how like down up 1, left 1, is that 1?
You can only do 1 translation. Okay? You can't just do multiple translations. You can only, if you do a translation, you can only do 1. All right, I'll ask you then.
Oh no.
So you didn't figure it out?
I don't know if I did. Will you tell me if I ask you right now?
Sure.
Is it rotation 90 counterclockwise?
Maybe. All right, who wants to test this one out? Who wants to try it? Okay, Will.
Okay, so go.
We got to go from B to C, so what's the first thing that we should do?
We should do 90
clockwise. Is your name Will?
90 clockwise. And then
Wait, okay, so if we do 90 clockwise, what happens to our coordinates?
It becomes 2, 3.
All right, is that what happens when we do 90 degrees clockwise? Oh, counterclockwise? Clockwise goes this way.
Oh, I'm looking at it wrong. So you go counterclockwise, and then you flip it over the y-axis.
Either way kind of works. Okay, let's just say he did say 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, what happens to the coordinates? Do we get -2, -3? Okay, so if we get -2, -3, then our coordinate is going to be right here. Okay? So then, how would I go from -2 to -3 to get to -2, 3? You cross the what? X-axis. So then you can get to this point right here. Now, maybe you also did 90 degrees counterclockwise and across the y-axis. Does that work as well? Okay. Does it work with all the points? Because sometimes it might work for 1 point. Okay? But you have to make sure it works for at least more than 1 point. Okay? So if I did counterclockwise, let's pick this point right here. So I got to go from this point to this point. All right, let's just double check and make sure it works. So this is 2, -9. All right, and this is -9, 2. Okay, so if I do 90 degrees clockwise, then what happens to these coordinates? For 2, -9. 90 degrees clockwise. What does it become? -9, -2. Okay, so then my point is here. All right, then if I cross the x-axis, what are my points? -9, 2. Okay, so that would work for both of them. Okay, so make sure when you do these, you just make sure that it works for more than 1 point. Because again, it might work for one of the points, and you might just say, okay, perfect, I'm done. All right, but that's not always going to be the case. Okay, so you just got to make sure you double check with at least another coordinate. All right, do this one. All right, can you see the points? All right, I'm just going to choose 2 points for you. Let's do, this one's -9, 2. This one down here is 9, -8. Okay, so try this one. That's a what?
Making jokes about my mother. I would never say such things. I'm a very respectful young man. I don't believe it. I don't believe myself.
You took 80 minutes of the class 2 times this week.
Of this class? It's only 70 minutes on Wednesday. You can only use 2. I thought you guys liked this class and never wanted to leave.
I do like it. I just wanted to be out. We get to eat in the house today. Oh, I hope so. Yeah. Did you bring your stuff? Oh, I keep Doritos in my locker at all times.
Are they open?
No.
Oh.
Big party size. They might be a little crushed. Because our last party, no one opened it. There was like 3 bags.
Yeah. 2. Wait, which one am I looking at? This is a 2. Oh my gosh, it is 1. That isn't a 2, that's a 1, my bad. Thank you. 40.
Yeah, I'm looking at more negative.
I think it's. Wait, I have it. I'm so proud of myself.
Did you only use 2? Show me. How am I supposed to know what that means?
I know what it means.
All right, let's look at this one. Okay, Maddie, what'd you do?
But what if it's wrong?
You just told me you got it.
Okay, so you move
We're
it.
going from C to D.
Yeah, move it 180 counterclockwise.
Clockwise and counterclockwise are the same.
Oh.
So when you do 180 clockwise or counterclockwise, because it's the same, what happens?
You'd have -9, 8.
-9, 8. Okay, we got to get -9, 1. So then what do we do to get -9, 1?
Move it down 7.
Yeah, we can move down 7. Okay, so you can do translation down 7 units, 100 degrees, 180 degrees clockwise. Did someone do a different one? Yeah. That's what we did. We had 9, -8, and then it became -9, 8. Who is raising their hand over here?
Oh, I just went up. I just went up 7. Then it's like 180.
That works. It's the same thing.
You did it in the opposite.
You just did the opposite. You can go up first. All right, and so yeah, Adam went up 7 and then did the rotation. That works as well. Yeah. That doesn't. Anyways. Okay. Do we see what we were doing there? Okay. Do we see that you can only do 2? Okay. Luckily, when you do the first couple examples on Delta Math, okay, I'm going to look at this. When you do the first couple examples on Delta Math, oops, don't look at those. They have discovery, okay? So what this means is you get to try one and you get to hit the try button. So let's just say I'm just going to click this, and then I'm just going to hit rotation 90 clockwise, okay? I hit try, it's going to move that figure, all right? And it's going to show you what you just did, okay? Obviously that's wrong, so it's going to say it's wrong, all right? So then I noticed, okay, my reflection looked right, so let me try a translation left 6 units instead. Okay, let's try this. Okay. All right. Then when it says you're correct, you can hit submit answer. Okay, do we have any questions? All right, I'm going to give you plenty of time to work on this in class. So go ahead and take the rest of class to work on this.